Hello, everybody. Welcome along to Premier League predictions. Mikey has had the temerity to go on his honeymoon. So it's a big welcome to Anir, who you will know if you're familiar with the channel on the Championship side. But on the Premier League side, Anir, who the hell are you and why should anybody listen to anything that you've got to say?
I don't know. You probably shouldn't actually, if you're sane. But yeah, I follow the Premier League a little bit. I'd say I'm fairly knowledgeable about the ongoings, and hopefully I can even do what half of Mikey can do, and I'll take that.
If you do what half of Mikey can do, you will beat me. But I'm going to bury Mikey now because he's disappeared on the week where I actually beat him. He will claim this is because it was a mixed FA Cup and Premier League round. So I had a bit of an advantage with the EFL stuff. But his streak is over. You know the deal, guys, in the chat. So if you want to play along, we would love you to. Get your predictions in, obviously, before the games happen. Give yourself 1 point if you get the correct outcome. Give yourself 3 points if you get the correct result. And Anna, you need to do this as well. Your most outlandish pick, you can submit for a bonus point, but it needs to be something a little bit special to warrant a bonus point. We're looking for an outsider winning, or we're looking for some goals, I tell you. Let's get right in with one of your favourite topics, Anna. Newcastle United versus West Ham United. What are your thoughts?
Well, Newcastle are at St James's, where they typically play quite well. They haven't lost since Boxing Day, where they lost 3-1 at home to Nottingham Forest there. However, recently, 11 points in 9 games, and for a team that finished 4th last season, not particularly good. Also, their star centre back, Sven Botman, is out for the rest of the season and probably December next season as well. So not good. Especially from perspective of for their perspective, Bruno Guimaraes playing and Anthony Gordon playing in the internationals means they won't be as kind of rusty, if you want to take it that way. But they could also, we don't know. But
is he bringing his hatchet?
We'll talk about Lucas Paqueta in a bit. But yeah, they could be fresh. They could be carrying on their momentum, fitness, etc. But they could also be tired. And Eddie Howe typically doesn't really change his team, so that could be, especially the star player, so that could be a massive factor as well. Last time out, they lost 3-2 at Stamford Bridge. Again, away at Chelsea side who can be inconsistent, haven't particularly had a decent, very good home record. You want to go there and really, win, really, if you want to chase down the likes of Man United. Spurs ahead of them, they haven't. West Ham, though, decent run in the league, albeit a small sample size. However, in the bigger picture, as I said, small sample size, bigger picture, 3 wins in 11 games, which is why the pressure has been heaped on David Moyes. That's in all competitions. Since their 1-0 defeat at Aston Gate, if I might add myself.
Get it in there.
Yeah. However, Paqueta, Bowen, and Kudus are all back. They're playing well. I do think both teams are probably going to cancel each other out to a certain degree. I think both teams need a win, which is why I'm going to go for the unhelpful draw. So I'm going to go Newcastle 2, West Ham 2, which is the repeat earlier in the season where Mohamed Kudus got a 89th minute equaliser for the Hammers.
I was terrified you were going to take the 1-1 off me as you were speaking. I thought everything he's saying stinks of a 1-1 here. And then I thought, what would I do if he didn't say 1-1? I'd probably go home win. 1-1 is still open for me, but I've kind of persuaded myself it's going to be a home win since you've been talking. So I'm going to take off 1 West Ham United goal, although I'm here for Lucas Paqueta to make 15 fouls in this game and not get sent off. He was genius the other night. So I'm going to back Newcastle. Don't know why. Bit of a hunch. Newcastle 2, West Ham 1. And we're going to move on to Bournemouth v Everton. Who was that guy who used to play for Man United? Who was like Norwegian. Josh, someone played for both Bournemouth and Everton. I can't think of
Josh King.
Josh King. The Josh King derby. Sure we can think of a better one. Who was the guy who used to do that? Arnout Danjuma. The
That's
Arnout
the one,
Danjuma derby. That's a better one, isn't it? What's your take, Annie?
Well, Arnott Danjuma is injured, so will not be playing for Everton.
There you go.
Bournemouth, though, recently picked up form again after a very shaky run since their defeat at Spurs, where they went on a really poor run. Last time out, they beat Luton in that ridiculous game. For them, it was an insane comeback, 4-3. If Antoine Semenyo is at it, ex-Bristol City, if Antoine Semenyo is at it, Bournemouth typically are going to win football games. However, in their run, he wasn't quite at it. He was out of the team, but when he's performing on the right-hand side, Bournemouth are much better. Everton, really bad form. And since their kind of siege mentality after the points deduction initially, that's kind of faded away. No wins in 11, and more concerningly, I'd say for Sean Dyche, 6 losses and only 5 points accumulated from those 11 games. He'd want a little bit more points accumulated just to keep things ticking over. However, last time out in their 2-0 defeat at Man United, they did play quite well. Just didn't, again, massive problem for them has been taking chances. Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Beto, etc. just haven't been clinical enough in front of goal. And again, for Sean Dyche side, they pride themselves on defensive work and the foundations built on top of that. The defense has been going recently. Again, short sample size, but in the last 3 games, they've conceded 6 goals. You do the maths, 2 goals a game. It's not a good foundation you want to build on, especially if you're a side that plays on low margins. In their good run at the start of the season, Everton, they did beat Bournemouth 3-0 at Goodison Park. However, with this being at the Vitality and with Bournemouth's recent good run and Everton's shakiness, I'm going to back the Cherries. I'm going to go Bournemouth 2, Everton 1.
So I'm either on a 0-0 draw or Bournemouth to win by 1. And you've just taken Bournemouth to win by 1. I could do 1-0 Bournemouth, couldn't I? But you're right, Everton. I don't know how Everton are going to... Well, I mean, I'm sure we'll get your take on Nottingham Forest in a minute, because obviously they're, despite being in bad form, their chances of survival have been elevated by Forest being docked 4 points. And last time that happened, as you said, it was siege mentality against them, but they did have a little run. We don't actually get that many nil effing nils anymore. So I'll back Bournemouth. I'll do exactly the same as you. A 1-goal win for Bournemouth. Bournemouth 1, Everton 0. Chelsea v Burnley. One team we haven't got a clue what they're going to do, and one team that tends to do the same thing every week, which is not win.
You say that 4 points in the last 2 for Vincent Company.
Apologies, Vinny.
And when it looked like a pretty desperate situation, they're only now 5 points adrift.
You're going to play your bonus point on this one. I'm feeling an away win coming in here, aren't we?
5 points adrift at the moment. Again, if David Datro Fofana is on the pitch, he's going to get Burnley goals. He's scored 4 goals since joining on loan in January from Chelsea. He's not going to play, actually. I just realised that. He's not going to play. He's their joint top scorer, which... Again, now that's going to be a massive miss for Burnley. I've just realised that. That's really poor from me. Chelsea, 1 loss in 8 in all competitions. I suppose from a psychological perspective, that win against Leicester was massive in the Cup. However, Raheem Sterling, we know the situation with him getting booed, and he has been typically one of Pochettino's go-to men, whether that be off the bench or from the start. Same message when I said was Antoine Semenyo for Bournemouth. If Cole Palmer's at it, Chelsea normally get 3 points. And last time out, they beat Newcastle 3-2 in their last Premier League game. Burnley, good win against Brentford. However, Brentford were down to 10 men for a large proportion of that game. And what I'm hearing from Burnley fans was it wasn't particularly convincing. And that's, again, a bit of a red flag and taking into account that Brentford are in poor form, again, down to 10 men as well. Malo Gusto for Chelsea, who has been, again, a right back, stalwart right back when Reece James hasn't played. He's going to miss this game. I think he was injured for the French under 21s through the week. I'm going to take into account Chelsea's good form and that Burnley's frailties may show once again on the road. I'm going to go Chelsea 2, Burnley 1.
you did a really good job of adding loads of jeopardy into that, because I've got comfortable home win in my head, and it just because they're on the road, and when Burnley aren't in a game, they lose, don't they? Do you know what I mean? So I can see this being at least a 2-goal margin of victory for Chelsea. Let's rack some goals up here, shall we? Let's go Chelsea 3, Burnley 1, but that's not going to warrant anything close to a bonus point, is it? Right, Nottingham Forest -4 points versus Crystal Palace, Anya.
This is the only game where I've actually just not put any stats down because I think that's completely irrelevant. I think it's completely irrelevant. The only thing I have put down here is the last games, and Palace, they played on the 9th of March, which is a while ago, and I actually had to play a friendly in between that against the European side, Bodo Glint. Forest, last time out, really gut-wrenching. Draw at Luton. They had the game in their hand. They had chances, and they just couldn't put them away. Morgan Gibbs, again, excellent. Just couldn't put them away, and a late Luke Berry sucker punch for them. But this is, I think you can completely disregard anything from that perspective in terms of recent form. We know Forest have been deducted 4 points. They're gonna, that City ground is going to be rocking. It's going to be really getting behind that team, similar to what we saw with Everton when they initially got their points deduction earlier in the season, where it was siege mentality. And I think Nuno can really play into that, really tap into that with these group of players. And for that reason alone, despite Taiwo Aveni, I think, not being available, I think he's injured for Nigeria. We haven't seen Nuno's press conference yet. I'm going to go for a Nottingham Forest home win. Just for that reason alone, I'm going to go Forest to beat Palace. A repeat of last year, I believe. 1-0 to Forest.
I was going to say 1-0 for most of the reasons you were saying. I think you're so right. Very similar to Everton as well, because it's that kind of fan base that can make in the Championship. And last year, so all the Cooper reign, that was a noisy, hard stadium to go in and win if you're an away team. They were great there last season. But if they're winning 1-0, in my opinion. And you've taken that. So I'm going to go for a gut-wrenching one for Forest. Maybe I'll add in a Palace equaliser in with 80 or 85 minutes already played sometime after that. So this will be total killer for Forest, but I don't think they're going to win by 2 with good old Nuno. So I will go 1-1. Forest 1, Palace 1, which our Luton friends and our Everton friends will like very much. And we're going to move you on to Sheffield United versus Fulham.
Yeah, and Sheffield United, it's just one word. It's dismal at the moment. It's really, really, really bad. And the kind of anticipation about Wilder coming in and his return, it just hasn't gone to plan. Last time out though, a good kind of point away at Bournemouth, but again they were battered. They were really, really poor. I don't know how they went 2-0 up, but I think they had 2 chances and scored 2 goals. It's all about, you can be clinical, but it's not sustainable at all. At Bramall Lane, in their last 4 games, they have conceded 21 goals. That's in all competitions. You cannot stay up
I had
doing
Arsenal.
that.
Sorry to interrupt, Danny. I had Arsenal with my bonus point to win. No, I wasn't even to win 5-0 in the last one, and they won 6-0. I was gutted when that 6th goal went in. Carry on.
Yeah, 21 goals in the last 5 games is just not acceptable. 10 of them against Brighton, I think, which is weird. Fulham, who have been in fairly decent form, actually, climbing up the table. 3 wins in their last 4. Rodrigo Muniz is now Alexander Mitrovic in the Championship. I don't know what's happened there.
That one,
yeah. Fans wanted him. Didn't deem him first team quality, and now he's first name on the team sheet. Yeah, 3 wins the last 4. Marcus Silva's found that edge again to Fulham. Just seem a really, really solid side and who are capable of beating teams at the bottom. That's a large reason. And games against Spurs last time out, where they haven't been dragged into anything serious. As I said, 3-0 win against Spurs last time out, where the pressure was really on Spurs. So for them to turn them over, in particular, that context, massively impressive. Rodrigo Muniz in red hot form as well. 7 goals in his last 7 games. Just mental. Last time out, between these two sides at Craven Cottage, it was Fulham 3, Sheffield United 1. If you remember, Chris Basham suffered that horrid injury there. I think just for the reasons that Sheffield United are so leaky at Bramall Lane, and Fulham at the moment are just in red hot form, especially going forward. I'd like to see Sheffield United win, but this is going to be so difficult for them, especially with the form Fulham are in. I'm going to go Sheffield United 0, Fulham 2.
I think I saw, you'll correct me on this, Rodrigo Muniz score playing for Chris Wilder for Middlesbrough at Watford early last season. Chris Wilder then went on to manage Watford that season, and now he's going against Rodrigo Muniz for Sheffield United against Fulham. That's how crazy and incestuous this is. I'm trying to figure out a way of getting a bonus point into this one because I think Fulham they're just good enough attacking wise with Silva, with their attacking patterns to get 3 goals, aren't they? So I'll give you 2 options for a bonus point. Either 3-0 and Muniz scores, which isn't that great, or 3-0 and all the goals in the first half. Which one do you want?
3-0, all the goals in the first half, I'd say. Yeah, I think probably.
So that's for my bonus point, yeah. So we need Sheffield United 0, Fulham 3, all the goals in the first half. I have played my bonus point, ladies and gentlemen, and you can play your bonus point this weekend over at Match Bingo. Loads going on over on the app. We are brought to you by Match Bingo right here and now. On Good Friday, you can play for free Aston Villa versus Wolves, which we are going to talk about in about 6 minutes' time. We'll get Annie's prediction on that. You get your card for free if you want to dip your toe in the water. But, Annie, how many Easter eggs could you buy with £1,000? £1,000 prize pot for Brentford versus Manchester United. That is a paid game. That one will cost you £2. And by God, what a game we got on Sunday. Manchester City versus Arsenal. They've gone all in, Annie. Another £1,000 prize pot. So go and get involved over at Match Bingo. If you do, let them know that me and Annie have sent you in this very show by just pausing your phone right now, clicking on that QR code. That will send you through. You can also play the Bingos game for free on Good Friday and on Easter Monday on the EFL games. But for God's sake, whatever you do, please play responsibly. Tottenham versus Luton, Annie. We got shafted by Tottenham, me and Mikey last time, getting thrashed by Fulham, as you mentioned. How are they going to go against Luton?
At the moment, Tottenham, I don't think are consistent enough to get that top 4 spot. And whatever we think of Aston Villa, Tottenham have to show themselves they are capable of getting into the top 4. Similar to the game at Fulham, there is huge pressure on them to win this, rightly so, against a side. I was going to say in the bottom 3, not anymore in the bottom 3.
No.
As I said, last time out, 3-0 defeat at Craven Cottage. Luton, though, that must have been mentally and psychologically draining after that 4-3 defeat at Bournemouth. But to show real character, and I know it's a point against the side, just above you at the time, but to show real character to get that late equaliser, I think is massive, and especially Luke Berry getting the goal as well. Just a testament of what that squad is all about at Luton. Showed real resilience. Gabriel Osho, though, during the week was injured for Nigeria and didn't play, I think, in his last game against Forest as well. So that's going to be a massive miss. However, Reece Burke did come in. Remember him? Did come in to play really well against Nottingham Forest and really did impress. Last time out between these two sides, it was a 1-0 defeat for Luton at Kenilworth Road, and Spurs went down to 10 men after 45 minutes. So that was a really disappointing one there. It's one of many games where Luton have been in it, but just haven't been able to get over the line. I think Tottenham are going to have real energy about them, especially at home, and you'll get them up for this. And I think for a style of play that Tottenham do play, they're going to have this 2-week break would be massive for them. For that reason, I do think Luton will score. I think they have good threats about them, even without Elijah Adebayo at the moment. I'll go for Tottenham to win. I'll go for them to win by 2 as well. I'll go Tottenham 3, Luton 1.
Yeah, everyone knows how terribly biased I am when it comes to Luton because I live here in Bedfordshire. But I can't have Luton. I'd love to see it. I can't have Luton going and winning in that stadium against that side with a world-class player on the Spurs team, but still, the disparity between the two sides. I'll make it closer, and it will go for Luton to score from a couple of set plays and lose narrowly, which, as you say, is no shame given. I'm sure what we'll find out when the accounts get published, how little that they've spent on their salary this season. But I'm making excuses because I feel bad about saying Tottenham 3, Luton 2. And I was going to say the David Pleat derby. So we'll now say the Andy Gray derby for Aston Villa versus Wolves. And remember, you can play for free on Match Bingo on this one, 5:30 on Saturday. Is that the right day? Or is it Good Friday? Is it Good Friday? I think it's Good Friday. Obviously, you may well be watching Ipswich versus Blackburn on the watch along at that point. But you can still play Match Bingo on this game as well. We have a conflict of interest there. But let's hear your take on Villa Wolves.
Yeah, can take into account the Tottenham result I've gone for. Just bear that in mind. Villa's form recently at home, in particular, considering what it was before that, it was ridiculous, really high standards. However, 1 win in 4, again, for a side now in a position where they are looking to nail down their top 4 spot. It's not good enough, unfortunately. Last time out, a late point away at West Ham. Again, quite inconsistent Aston Villa at the moment a little bit. It just flattering out a little bit. It's just again, similar to Spurs, not consistent enough to get that top 4 spot. The two teams cancelling each other out in terms of game weeks every other week. Wolves, obviously a very disappointing way to go at the FA Cup against Coventry. But I'm not sure Gary O'Neill's going to let this squad, I don't think his man management style won't let this squad get too down about it. They themselves have been a little bit inconsistent, but generally have been in really good form on the bigger picture. And again, they are very much capable of pulling out a result away, in particular away at top sides. They won 4-1 at Chelsea, 2-1 at Spurs, so they are capable of really pulling it out the bag. Last time out for them, they won 2-1 against Fulham, where Ryan Aït-Nouri, I think this was a case against Coventry as well, didn't pay particular attention, but he was deployed on the left wing, despite not left wing back, and that made a massive difference to them. And that's, I think, if they target Matty Cash and Ezri Konsa on that side, I think they'll get real joy from it. For that reason, Ben, if you allow me to do so, I'll play my bonus point on this. Not necessarily in terms of goal, not necessarily
everyone.
Not necessarily in terms of a scoreline. I'll go Villa 0, Wolves 2. But my bonus point bit is both goals to come in the last 20 minutes, so 70 onwards.
Do you know, I think I'd have given you the bonus point just for the 2-goal away.
Then scrap that then.
Okay. I did like
No.
I did like the audacity of doubling down on it. I think that's beautiful. I'm going to back Villa in this one, Annie. I think you're going to get the reaction from the poor home run, and it's kind of sink or swim now. And as much as we all love Ange and his football and his interviews and stuff, Emery is the more proven kind of operator. And this is where maybe you get the benefit of having him in the dugout. So I'll tell you what I'll do, just for laughs, I'll flip your score. So I'll go Villa 2, Wolves 0. And we've got all bases covered. We've upset both fan bases equally. Our work here is done. Brentford versus Manchester United, which is a £1,000 prize pot over on Match Bingo, and was a very famous game. Was it last season with the 4-0 or 4-1 or something? Yeah. And the brilliant meltdowns on that. Nothing against Man United, but it's fairly entertaining, isn't it?
Yeah, Brentford have got their work cut out for them. And to cause another meltdown on Twitter or social media, they will need to do heck of a lot of work against this Man United side, who are playing with a lot of confidence at the moment. 4-3 win for them in the FA Cup against Liverpool, albeit slightly weakened Liverpool side and slightly weakened Manchester United side, but still, that kind of feeling of beating your rivals in the FA Cup to get through to the semis, massive. Bees, 1 win in 9, again, just flattening a little bit and not playing with enough, just enough confidence about them. In that period, in the 9 games, they have on average conceded 2.3 goals per game. Which again, if you want to just stop the rot in certain games, you just want to get a 0-0, get a 1-1. And Thomas Frank has, whenever Thomas Frank has needed a result, we've seen this in the Championship as well. Generally, he's gone away from home and he's just set up for a draw, and it's worked. And after that, they've gone on massive runs. Last time out, they lost away at Burnley. Again, mitigating factor. They were down to 10 men for a large proportion of the game, and they showed actually quite good character to go and score and actually be in the game for a lot of it. But again, ultimately it's a defeat at a side who are in the bottom 3. Manchester United, only 2 defeats in all competitions since the turn of the year, and one of them was away at Manchester City. So 1 defeat since the start of the year. Last time out, they won 2-0 against Everton. And when I said for Everton, that was a reasonably good performance. I'd say from a Manchester United perspective, that was quite unconvincing. 2 penalties from Bruno Fernandes and Marcus Rashford, I believe. But again, it's the job. It gets the job done. So no, I'm not sure Erik ten Hag is complaining too much with the results before that. They could close the gap down to 3 points to Spurs if results go their way. Again, but that will mean Spurs will have to lose at home to Luton. So probabilities and all of that. Last time out, Manchester United beat Brentford 2-1 at Old Trafford. Scott McTominay turned into Diego Maradona and scored in the 93rd minute and 97th minute to get Manchester United home. I think with Brentford's attacking threat, I will back them for a goal, but with the fact that I've just mentioned 2.3 goals per game against, it is going to be really difficult to keep out that Manchester United forward line with the form. Højlund, Anthony got a goal, Rashford, Bruno Fernandes are playing in at the moment. I'm going to go, sorry Brentford fans, I'm going to go Brentford 1, Manchester United 3.
Yes, I thought you were going to say 2-1, which is what I was going to say, because it's all very well having Ivan Toney, but if you're going to concede 2.3 goals per game, you could have Erling Haaland and you're still going to be struggling to win games. You need to score 3 goals every game, don't you? But I know, admittedly, it's not 2.3 across the season, but I agree with everything you said. Man United will probably win unconvincingly. Brentford will probably score. Man United will probably just have too much for them. I think Brentford will be safe in the end, by the way, with the points deductions going in elsewhere. But I will lock in the 2-1 then, and Aaron, use all your logic to justify it. So Brentford 1, Manchester United 2. 2 to go now, right up to the top of the table. Liverpool versus Brighton, the Mark Lawrenson or the Alexis McAllister derby. Make of it what you will. Home win, Anir?
Well, let's just go through my logic first. Liverpool are hitting top form again, like they normally do around this time of year. We talk about Man City and going on their runs, but Liverpool also tend to do that. Even last year, they're really playing with a lot of confidence, even without the likes of Alisson, Diogo Jota, Trent Alexander-Arnold, and the longer-term Matip and Thiago Alcantara as well. So they're really playing, I wouldn't say with a B team per se, but definitely in key positions they are missing some players, and players have stepped up and done really well in a high-pressure environment, in a title race, and have kept touch with Arsenal and Manchester City. Last time out, it was in the league, a 1-1 draw against Manchester City. Obviously, that 4-3 defeat at Manchester United in the FA Cup. I think for Liverpool, from a Liverpool perspective, this is a must-win game if you want to keep in touch with Manchester City and Arsenal. No respect to Brighton, but this is one of those games at home, especially at Anfield, you just have to win. Brighton, 3 wins, in 2024, 9 games. They are out of Europe, but I do want to spin that in a positive way and say maybe now Roberto De Zerbi does concentrate on the league. Maybe he does get a few players back and maybe doesn't have to think about squad as much and squad rotation. And I think the international break has come at a reasonably good time for him. Last time out, it was a 1-0 win against Nottingham Forest. Again, not a typical Brighton performance. It was quite stodgy. It was quite tense and not the fluid ball control and the possession and the creating chances you normally get from a Brighton side. But it was a much needed win for Brighton. If they do play the way we expect them to, of course they will. Play out the back and try and pass through the thirds. They will leave spaces for this Liverpool attack. Of course they will. And I think that ultimately might be a big factor to, for a Liverpool win. So for that reason, despite Brighton holding Liverpool at the Amex earlier in the season, a 2-2 draw, I am going to go for a comfortable Liverpool win. I'm going to go Liverpool 3, Brighton 0.
Interesting. I won't comment on why that's interesting. I'm just going to quickly scribble something out down here. Liverpool just have to win on the basis of the game that we're about to talk about. It's just an absolutely huge chance where if there's a draw in the game between the other two teams, this could really just be like the best week possible for Liverpool. I did predict that they would lose in the cup to Man United. I just thought they'd be a bit spent after the Man City game that they had, but I think that will turn out to be an outlier, and I think they're going to go on a run. Now, I was going to say 3-0. I won't pretend. So to have some fun, then I'll go for the 3-goal margin, and let's amp it up to 4-1. Okay, Liverpool 4, Brighton 1, because Brighton will go there and play, and that could leave it nice and open for Liverpool. Anyway, the main event. So Annie, just to add this up, and myself have both got Liverpool going on to 67 points, which would mean that whatever we predict in Man City Arsenal, Man City would not be topped by the end of the round, but Arsenal may need to warn off Liverpool. This is going to be so good, isn't it? Have Arsenal come of age? Can they go and win at Manchester City? Loads of people saying if they win this game, they win the title. And I know it's not that simple, but I'm kind of in that boat as well myself. What do you reckon?
Well, last time out, Arsenal did beat Manchester City at the Emirates, and that performance, if I remember, never seen it from an Arsenal side before, especially in a crunch game. The atmosphere, the kind of intensity and the grittiness shown by the players, and just the never say die attitude, absolutely brilliant from the Gunners. However, this is complete different situation and context. Manchester City have been in superb form. Of course, they have. Kyle Walker is expected to be okay. And hopefully that's good from an England perspective as well. He'll be okay for Man City. That's what they're reporting. In their last game in the Cup, they were very dominant against the Newcastle side. Okay, injury riddled, but still did dominate and did quite well. In the league, obviously that 1-1 draw at Anfield was their last result. I think you can expect from you know what to expect from Manchester City. It'll be the same no matter the opposition. They'll try to control the ball. Of course they will. It's Pep Guardiola. Arsenal, they do typically set up a little bit differently when they play a Liverpool, a Spurs, a Manchester City, especially away from home. 8 straight wins for them in the league, and they're hitting serious form. Obviously, last time out, it was a unconvincing, but it felt like a massive moment in the league, in just in the context of the season. They won 2-1 against Brentford. They didn't really play particularly well. It wasn't a typical performance at home for Arsenal against the side of mid-table, but it was just absolutely massive. Kai Havertz late goal, just a feeling about them, and that I think showed they are definitely in this title race, and not just in it as in terms of numbers, but they are serious candidates to go on and win this Premier League title. As I said, massive show of character, and as you said, Ben, if they do go and win this game, you have to say this is the best opportunity of Arsenal have had in years. You could say that last season when they had a 12-point gap or whatever it was. But yeah, and just in terms of psychology and with such a just the run in left to the end of the season, this is absolutely massive for them. However, Arsenal have not won at the Etihad since 2010. And the results since then, since 2010, have been 4-1, 5-0, 1-0, 3-0, 3-1, 3-1, and 2-1, all to Manchester City. So a lot of goals for Manchester City there. I can't look past them. I can't look past Man City. I can't not trust Pep in a big game, especially in a tight title race. I'm going to go for them to win, especially for the fact that it is at the Etihad as well. I'm going to go Manchester City 2, Arsenal 1. Have I delayed that and made as many caveats as possible?
Yeah, I could honestly pick all three results on this one. The obvious result is home win, isn't it? A draw. I think if Arsenal don't lose, I think that's a moral victory as such because it's at the Etihad for Arsenal. But as we just said, we've both forecast Liverpool to go past them anyway. So it's like you fight this one battle on the one hand, and then there's Jurgen Klopp in the background. It's like wherever Arteta looks, he's got amazing opponents. It would be a hell of a story if they went there and won, wouldn't it? But the only games Man City tend to lose at home are just weird ones where Andros Townsend smashes a goal in from 50 yards and then they have 95 shots and don't score. Whereas this is going to be a proper football match. So I'll back the draw, which will be a moral victory for Arsenal, but will put Liverpool top of the league. And we'll just go for a real boring scoreline, but it will still be, whatever happens, this is going to be a great game because it's just two really good sides, two really good managers as well. Well, one GOAT manager and one really good manager at the moment. So let's go Man City 1, Arsenal 1, which should round us out for the predictions. Get involved down there in the comments. Get your predictions in ahead of the Easter weekend. Remember, it's not like the EFL. There's only one round of games. So just get your 10 in, get your scores in. Annie, absolute pleasure having you on. I'm going to decide whether to invite you back based on how much you beat me by in the scores, because Mikey's not going to be around next week. I'm sure you'll get resounding praise, but big thumbs up for Annie in the comments. If you want to see him back next week, which I think you will do, then give him the endorsement. Annie, just give your channel and your work and your Twitter a quick plug because we want to get you some subscribers across from over here.
Yeah, so you can find me Annie Harris on YouTube, mainly Bristol City content, as you could have probably guessed from the Antoine Semenyo references and the West Ham references. Yeah, just go to matches and do stuff like that. Twitter, you can find me at Annie Harris1 if you want a good laugh and general winding up of opposition fans. So you can find me on that,
including me. Yeah, many times. But get involved in the comments. It's Premier League predictions. Get involved over at Match Bingo, and we will see you next week. Hopefully, could be 2 wins in a row for me. It could be a debut win for Annie as he stands in for Mikey. Leave Mikey some horrible comments while he's on his honeymoon, sunning it, having a lovely having a time of his life. After Parkin deserted me as well, going off to the south of France for the last week. Yeah. I'm still here in Bedfordshire. Thank you, everybody, for watching. We'll see you next week. Now, you might see a YouTuber with millions of subscribers and views a week driving a Bentley. It's a bit more modest, I have to say, when you're covering the Championship. So if you can find a few quid each month to support over on Patreon or by hitting the join button here, you are making the world of difference for myself, Shaylee, and Enid.